This is who we have in the room, and they're still coming. So thank you so much. This is great to have such a healthy spread of representation here today. So thank you for joining us. And one more time, what is your understanding of apprenticeship? Is it tepid, just kind of getting your feet wet? Is it still warm? You know a little bit, but would like to get farther into the pool there or to the hot tub. Is it at a simmer where it's real hot but not at a boil, or none of the above? Okay, we'll see what we have here. Okay, great. Well, we have some great expertise, those that have boil in the room, and we have a lot that are tepid and warm. So thank you for being here today, and hopefully we'll move you into that simmer or boil section as these webinar series continue. So, all right, thank you. Sorry. Oregon Apprenticeship. As Kristen mentioned earlier, this Rural Technical Assistance for Pre-Apprenticeship is based off of several grants that the state has applied for over the years. And that conglomerative is of these partners that have come together to support registered apprenticeship here in Oregon. We couldn't do this without the support of folks from the state of Oregon Employment Department, Oregon Department of Education, the Higher Education Coordinating Commission, and the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries. This is truly a partnership, a cross-state agency partnership to support the registered apprenticeship system here in Oregon. And what you will see later today, resources, materials, and websites is, as resources for you all. That is based off of the work and partnership, not only from those state agencies, but their connections and networks that they work with to make sure that registered apprenticeship in Oregon is not the best kept secret anymore and is accessible for all learners in Oregon. So we're going to do just a quick overview of Oregon Apprenticeship. And for that, we're going to have a video. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my screen off, but hopefully you all can hear and enjoy this video for a minute.
You may have heard about registered apprenticeship, a training model that combines paid, on-the-job training with classroom instruction. Registered apprenticeship is that and so much more. It's a powerful tool that can provide sustainable, long-term solutions to critical workforce supply issues. And it has the potential to solve many of the talent and training challenges faced by employers, career seekers, youth, and the organizations that serve them in Oregon. In this video, you'll learn more about registered apprenticeship and its 5 core components: employer customization and control, structured on-the-job training with mentoring, related training and instruction, rewards for skill gains, and a nationally recognized industry credential. We'll also cover how apprenticeship programs are operated in Oregon and how you can get involved. In the registered apprenticeship model, employers develop a structured training and education pathway based on industry standards to serve the needs of their business. Programs can be implemented by an individual business or multiple employers working together. All registered apprenticeship programs in Oregon are overseen by a group of industry representatives called the Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee that ensures the program is employer-created and controlled. With assistance from the Bureau of Labor and Industries, educators, and other workforce partners, the Apprenticeship Committee builds a training ladder to fit the knowledge, skills, and abilities needed to achieve mastery in a given occupation. Registered apprenticeship can help solve many common workforce challenges for businesses, such as recruiting young entry-level workers, teaching specialized skills, creating a diverse workforce, and replacing essential talent within a company. Registered apprenticeship is available to employers in all industry sectors, including construction, manufacturing, healthcare, IT, and professional services. Registered apprentices make a serious long-term commitment that puts their learning on par with the college education. In fact, related instruction and on-the-job training can be awarded college credit, which can lead to an associate's degree. And apprentices can be confident that the instruction they receive will be applicable on the job because they are mentored by experts in their field. As apprentices progress through their programs, their wage increases. In fact, apprenticeship graduates start out at higher wages than most first-year college grads. Upon completion of a program, they are considered subject matter experts and receive a nationally recognized industry credential. Best of all, apprenticeship can be for anyone. Because on-the-job learning and performance is at the heart of its training, the apprenticeship model allows many kinds of learners to be successful in both learning and demonstrating their skills. Registered apprenticeship is a shared investment in a long-term talent pipeline. Apprentices and employers must commit equally to make the program a success. Employers invest in employees by providing structured on-the-job training, mentorship, and wages for the apprentice. In addition to working, apprentices invest their time in classroom training. In some cases, they may pay for their own books and tuition. Registered apprenticeship programs are supported by many organizations that help train individuals for work or prepare job seekers for rewarding careers. These entities are committed partners, assisting employers in sourcing talent, administering programs, and providing training and/or curriculum support. Partners can participate by recruiting and supporting apprentices, helping employers convene and develop apprenticeship programs, helping employers navigate administrative and reporting requirements, or by providing classroom instruction. Registered apprenticeship is a dynamic, responsive training model that helps businesses, educators, and workers rise to meet the challenges of a rapidly changing marketplace. Don't get left behind. Choose registered apprenticeship today.
All right, and like I mentioned earlier, many of these resources, including that video, is on the OregonApprenticeship.org website. So please use as frequently and share as possible to help folks understand Oregon apprenticeship. So currently in Oregon, we have up to, or maybe more, 150 registered apprenticeship programs in the state. We have 10,405 apprentices, and that is the breakdown here, those percentages of what we see in terms of who is enrolled, participating, and is hopefully journeying out. Currently, we have 29 registered pre-apprenticeship programs. The ones that you are hearing from today are currently registered as pre-apprenticeship programs, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then we have over 4,963 employers across the state that are engaged in registered apprenticeship when it comes to being on a joint apprenticeship training committee, or contractors, or folks that are benefiting from the training model and having their workforce skilled and trained for the industry sector that they're looking or having to fill. This picture also comes from the Oregon Apprenticeship website, where you can find information about what different trades and joint apprenticeship training committees are out there and have current openings. And this was just to give you a highlight of what that looks like and what you can access. So just a quick, again, overview for Pre-Apprenticeship 101, for pre-apprenticeship here in the state. We know that there are several different career pathways that learners can take and be on track for. However, we know that some of these pathways get a lot more attention, a lot more messaging, a lot of more impact and support than others. We know that whether it's with a high school diploma or equivalency, there are different emphasis put on those different certificates and degrees, and really we're trying to share that there isn't just one path, there isn't one degree, and we're trying to help all Oregonians find their path and be successful, and be able to sustain that throughout their career. And as you can see to this graphic, there are several different pathways, but also recognize that the military pathway is not on here as well. And organized labor training and apprenticeships are there, and it is listed as a certificate. But we also know that at least here in Oregon, you can get an AAS degree. There are many certificates of completion, but also some statewide pathways to gain an associate's degree as well. So there are several different ways that one can get into registered apprenticeship, or at least gain the skills and knowledge that would make them a qualified applicant. And here in Oregon, we, like many states, have several different models, yet sometimes we're talking about the same thing. And so we're trying to provide a little bit of terminology here and some foundation for you all to know what we're talking about. I will start at the bottom with youth apprenticeship, as here in Oregon, we do not currently have any active youth apprenticeship programs in the state. This is considered quite a list, both on the education and workforce side of program development. It does replicate what is required in having an adult registered apprenticeship program, and that you do have to have a joint apprenticeship training committee, you have to have employers at the table, you have to have apprentices, they are getting paid, there is direct entry, there are benefits in doing youth apprenticeship. In terms of direct entry into a registered apprenticeship program, it does allow for youth to be on machines with that elusive child labor law around hazardous equipment and how much time. However, again, there's still standards and restrictions there. So although there are some benefits, there's a heavy lift there of not only getting the program up and running, but also sustaining it when it comes to paying for youth to be on the job site and working, and other regulations. So for internships, that will be the next place that we go to. Internships, this is also one of those gray areas, unfortunately, because when we talk about internships, we're not only talking about paid experiences, some people do unpaid experiences. And at the state level, we haven't untangled that yet. And it's not without a lot of focus and attention. It's just, COVID and other natural disasters. And in addition, just trying to get the focus and attention of others around needing to define these more clearly. We're hoping to do that, at least at the Department of Education, in partnership with the Bureau of Labor and Industry, with the approval of the Perkins 5 Work-Based Learning Perkins Performance Indicator. Hopefully that will be more clear as the months continue here. However, with internships, it can be part of a graduation requirement. Its focus is on professional, academic, and technical skills development, and it is making connections to the world of work. So it is either happening outside of the classroom, it's supplementing what's happening outside the classroom, or activities that simulate the world of work. So simulations, virtual experiences, things like that. An internship can be conducted in that way. And the benefits to that is that it is an introduction. It's an exploration and exposure to the world of work, to your exploring career interests. Like I mentioned, it can be paid and unpaid, and it does meet the criteria for graduation requirements here in the state for education plan and profile under the personalized learning section of our graduation requirements. And then when we get to pre-apprenticeship, really we're seeing an insurgence of these programs. One, because it serves as a great bridge between not only those that are interested in registered apprenticeships to those programs, but also as a way to prepare people for the world of work. It is also a pathway for those, if they don't go into registered apprenticeship after that pre-apprenticeship program, they're still getting the skills, whether it's professional, academic, or technical, especially for young people or those that are underrepresented in the workforce. This is a great way to enhance their skills, improve on their portfolio and experience, and also get some support services so that they could potentially be retained in a program and not have life derail their career and academic goals. So there's a lot of benefits to pre-apprenticeship as that bridge, not just into registered apprenticeship, but in for career pathways. And so you can see here, there's no actual on-the-job training, although there can be. A lot of it, again, is just to prepare folks for getting into registered apprenticeship at the entry-level position. There's going to be basic safety, basic hand tools, power tools. There are, work site field trips or virtual trips right now, helping those attain their GED or their high school diploma, and also their driver's license, things like that to help you become a qualified applicant to get into a registered apprenticeship, and then also assist with math and reading proficiencies, which is a requirement for a lot of the registered apprenticeship programs here in the state, of having some of those skills at a certain level. Quickly, these are pre-apprenticeship instructional models. Now, these may not be terms that you've heard. We don't necessarily use them here in Oregon, but I do believe that they illustrate the different levels of instructional alignment that needs to occur at whichever level your program is designed at. And Megan and Kara and Hal will describe that a little bit more when we get to them. Full alignment with an instructional model that is about, or at least the instructional design within a program for pre-apprenticeship. Those are directly linked to a registered apprenticeship program. The registered apprenticeship program basically, that's their program. So you're enrolled as an apprentice and not as a student. It meets the high school graduation requirements. It is meeting all the expectations of an entry-level apprentice. And so your hours and credits that you are earning while in high school level, they count directly towards your registered apprenticeship pathway. So your hours are counting towards that 4,000, 8,000, or even 2,000 hour program. And again, you're ticking all those boxes for high school graduation requirements. There is dual credit available, as mentioned earlier, towards that AAS degree or certificate. So everything really is under that umbrella of the registered apprenticeship program. Embedded many of our high school pre-apprenticeship programs in the state that you hear about, and you'll hear about that through Megan today. It's integrated into a CTE program of study. There's a lot of alignment between what counts or what is approved as a CTE program of study here in the state, and those align with the framework for pre-apprenticeship here in the state as well. And so integrating into a CTE program of study is that low-hanging fruit, but you're still earning course credit. It's meeting graduation requirements. And the difference is that you could potentially, working with your registered apprenticeship sponsors or your partners, have those hours. You can have those hours count towards the registered apprenticeship program if they continue on. You could have those credits, but those would be negotiated. Those would not be assumed or a part of the program makeup. Substituted and external, those are we're moving farther away from it being solely registered apprenticeship focused and more about those multiple career pathways, as I mentioned earlier. For substituted, the apprenticeship training is delivered outside of the secondary setting. It could be held at a post-secondary institution, a training center perhaps. There's an option to receive credit, and there's varying recognition for completing that program and what that meant. So many of those recognitions or credentials might have to be determined at the school board level in terms of earning credit. If it's outside of a CTE program of study, then it may be another elective credit, which may or may not be of benefit to the students. And there may not be a certificate or recognition like you might get in the full alignment and the embedded pieces like what we were talking about. And then external, the apprenticeship instruction is going to happen again outside of the secondary setting. There's no educational credit tied to that training, and the hours, they could count towards entry, but again, that would need to be negotiated. It would not be already within or expected as for that program development. And so program models, there's full articulation. Here, there's no distinction between a CTE program of study and a registered apprenticeship program. It's very much like we saw on the last slide with full alignment. This is solely a registered apprenticeship program. Students are enrolled as apprentices. And as I mentioned earlier, the direct entry, there is assumed, it's written in the agreement with hours and credits counting towards that registered apprenticeship program. The preferred entry, we see this in a lot of different formats. It's, again, this model is preparing those that are participating. We're preparing them to be at an entry-level position in registered apprenticeship. There's formalized agreements about what they will accomplish, what their student learning outcomes will be, their technical skills, academic skills, and professional skills will all meet certain standards to the registered apprenticeship program. There you can earn educational credits or hours to apply to a registered apprenticeship program. But here, when we talk about preferred entry, that's saying maybe we can put those applicants that complete the pre-apprenticeship program, let's put them in the middle towards the top of our applications pile instead of at the bottom. Let's show that they have experience compared to some others who may be just thinking that this might be something that they want to do to fill their time. This is someone that's actually invested their time and interest and school time into this, which we know, especially for young people, work experience and motivation and commitment is really hard to show if you haven't had work experience before, let alone it's hard to beat the stigma of being under 18 and knowing that this is what you want to do as a career. So the preferred entry and full articulation are really to be used as tools to help get the foot in the door for those apprentices. Optional entry, preparation, it may get them ready, like mentioned earlier, it may get them ready for registered apprenticeship. However, it's not a direct pathway. It's not going to necessarily be tied to just registered apprenticeship, but it is preparing them for multiple opportunities. And then exploratory, again, this is really around exploring interests and careers, having exposure. It may lead to earning credits for graduation, but doesn't necessarily lead to preferred entry into a registered apprenticeship program. So you might be asking, what is the purpose of pre-apprenticeship? And it really is around preparing people who want to eventually enroll in a registered apprenticeship program. Originally, and part of its value is to help those who are underrepresented in the field, in those training programs, especially around construction, the building trades, millwrights, machinists, and the like, to provide a segment of the population who may not have been registered, may not have sought out this pathway because they were not represented heavily, to give them an opportunity, a chance to explore and also get into careers that can support them with livable wages and a career, and earning those careers and their certificates for education at the same time. Pre-apprenticeship providers can be, well, what you see here, this is not all-inclusive, but what we have here in Oregon is what you see on the screen here. And you get to hear about Youth Build, one of our community colleges, and then also one of our high school CT programs of study, and how they have developed and worked and collaborated with people in the field around pre-apprenticeship. Okay, that was enough of me jammering along. I don't know if people have any questions. I haven't seen any come through the chat, but that doesn't mean that you don't have them. If we want to pause just for a second to see if anybody has any questions, you can put them in the chat or unmute yourself, and before Megan gets started. Okay, and yeah, and if just know we'll have more time towards the end, and of course keep them in the chat. We will monitor them as they come in. And Megan, I believe you are up.
Awesome. And then you made that slide, right? So you could advance it. Awesome. Alrighty. Well, thanks. I think I have about 15 minutes to share information about the Chemeketa Pre-Apprenticeship Program. And we started it a couple years ago. I'm new to apprenticeship. I've only been working in it for 4 years. And it's a big job, and there's a lot to understand about apprenticeship. And one of my tasks is administering the committees for Mid-Valley Sheet Metal and Mid-Valley HVAC. So 2 committees that are related to the heating and cooling industry. And then I also work with IEC Oregon, the Inside Wire Electrician Program, and Area 2 JATC Plumbers. And so I was doing a lot of work, recruitment work, trying to get folks interested in the skilled trades and into registered apprenticeship. And at the same time, one of my coworkers, Sheila, from the Mid-Willamette Education Consortium, and so they're the group that does for the Salem, or sort of our region, in Marion-Polk-Yamhill region, they administer the Perkins dollars to work with the high schools to provide support for CTE instructors. And so Sheila came to me and said, wow, I have all these high school students that really want to become electricians or plumbers or work in HVAC or sheet metal, and they're having a really hard time getting into the programs because they tend to be choosing people who are older. And at the same time, I had industry folks coming to me saying, hey, we really want younger people to get into registered apprenticeship, but when they apply, they're not very competitive. And so Sheila called Gabby, and that was a fateful meeting for us. And we ended up applying for a pre-apprenticeship program that was administered by Chemeketa based on feedback from our industry partners, but that is in all of the high schools that choose to participate in that MWEC service region, and also in Salem Kaiser Public Schools. So we have CTEC as a member as well. And so we talked to our industry partners and said, like, hey, what is it that you're really looking for? What I call them unicorns, right? And, you know, what's a great applicant going to look like for pre-apprenticeship for you, or for registered apprenticeship? And then we built the program based on their feedback. And so the high school, so let me tell you what that looks like. So they said, the industry feedback was, we really want them to have a driver's license if they can. We want them to have some hands-on work experience. I'm sort of looking at my notes here. Let me back up. So the program is really built around our APR 101 class, which is Trade Skills Fundamentals. And so students that participate in the pre-apprenticeship program take that class at their high school and get 4 credits for that. And so we certify the high school instructors to teach that class and offer that college credit. So that's sort of a nice way to get them started thinking about college and succeeding in a college class. Some of the instructors teach it as a standalone, as an intro to the skilled trades course. Others embed the curriculum in existing classes. So they have some flexibility from school by school. So that's that, and that also involves our college credit now at Chemeketa. The students also need to take 2 credits in trades-related coursework. So that's going to be their welding, machining, manufacturing, construction, and they can mix and match. They do have to get a C or better in those courses. I'll send all this out to people if you're interested, so we share this a lot. They also need to get their first aid CPR card. Often that's offered through their health class, and students just pay a little bit more to get the card. We also have them do OSHA 10 on that safety training. Again, those are both in response to employers who want them to have an understanding of job site safety. They also have to attend some external events. So things like here in Marion County, we have something called Construction Career Day. Up in Portland, there's a fantastic event put on by Oregon Tradeswomen International each year. But there's lots of different things they can do. We also ask that they come to campus to take a tour as part of the program. Is there an APR 101 certificate? I don't know. I'll get to questions in a minute. I get super distracted by the chat, so I'll do it at the end if that's okay. And then they also need to get their license. Okay, thank you. They can also get they need to get their license if they're able to do that. Clean driving record is a big part of many apprenticeship programs ask for that. And then we have, so those are required. They also have to take an algebra class for a year with a C or better, which is a really common entry-level requirement for registered apprenticeship programs. And then they have a series of other, they have to do 3 or more, either get a new certificate or, but the idea, there's a list of things, I won't bore you with it now, but, so the idea is at the end of the time of the program, they have a portfolio that they've collected of all the things that they're gonna need to present when they apply for a registered apprenticeship program. Including, some experience writing with the resume, putting together criteria, what they need. And they've been in front of people like me and other registered apprenticeship programs and learned what apprenticeship is all about and kind of helping them discern what program they might want to apply for. So even though I work with 4 registered apprenticeship programs, I introduce them to the long list of possibilities and also explain how the regions work. So they really have a good understanding of registered apprenticeship at the end of their time. Looking at the clock here a little. And so Chemeketa is sort of the big picture administrator. So we make sure that the high schools, they sign an agreement saying that we will make sure and provide all of these things. We found it's best to have a career counselor in charge of running the program so that the instructors can really focus on teaching the classes. But our CTE instructors are kind of the heroes of the high schools for me. They work so hard and they do so many things and often are really the reason that some of these students are coming to school and going on to graduate. So I've just learned that, boy, they have a lot on their plate. So it's nice to have either a counselor or a career coach running the pre-apprenticeship program to get it off of the teacher's plates. So, and we've got 11 schools signed up so far. The program's been replicated in other parts of the state and also in other parts of the country, which is trippy. And it's pretty straightforward. The students, when they graduate, are highly desirable. And I think there's a nice spillover effect. So even if the students, I guess there's 2 things I'd say. One is that we're in it for the long game. So these students might not apply for registered apprenticeship right out of high school. Many are. We are seeing a lot. They all want to be electricians, by the way, except for like 3. But they may come back to it in 2, 3, or 4 years once they're sort of out and trying different things. It's also great because they are getting some college credit and exposure to the college system. And with 6 more classes after if they do registered apprenticeship, they're able to get their Associates of Applied Science degree, and that's a stackable credential. So they're kind of earning credentials along the way that can help them. And so, Gabby, how am I doing?
You're doing great. Do you want to take a couple more minutes? I think that'll be good.
Okay. Yeah, so the other thing that I talk a lot about is the ability to the students to be ambassadors for the skilled trades. They come in, they learn a lot about apprenticeship, and then they spread the word to their peers, which has been a really helpful. These other students may not participate in the pre-apprenticeship program, but they're able to talk about it. And then, so they might have friends that say, I just don't want to go to college, I can't sit in the classroom. And they're able to say like, oh, hey, did you know there's this career option out there where you could make, $25 an hour. So that piece. And then a nice benefit too, just to finish, is that at the end of the program, so the students are they register with BOLI, so they send that to me, and then I send that up to BOLI, Apprenticeship and Training Division. And then at the end of the program, we send that up, they complete, we send out a certificate for them and a cord to wear at graduation. And so it's a really nice acknowledgement for these students that it's a serious accomplishment. They've spent over 2 years working on meeting these criteria. And so it's been a really neat thing for the schools to recognize them in graduation ceremonies. And they do have that cord to wear. So it's neat. So with our program, it's in the Chemeketa service area, which really the MWEC service area. So we spill over into Marion, Polk, Yamhill, Lincoln, and Lynn, Southern Yamhill. And so if folks are interested in that region, then you could contact me directly. Otherwise, I'm happy to share my material. So if this sounds like the type of program you'd like to have where you are, I'll share the entire application. So I'm trying to look at questions now. You want to read them to me, Gabby? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, is there an APR 101 certificate for teachers offered at Chemeketa Community College?
I don't understand the question.
I'm wondering if it's, I think and John, feel free to unmute yourself. I believe you have that capability if you want to clarify. I don't want to misinterpret your question. They believe it's just like a special teaching certification.
No, the requirements to teach, so to be able to teach APR 101, people need to have 5 years of work experience in a construction-related trade. And so usually if the instructor has qualified to teach a CTE course with ODE, they're going to qualify to teach APR 101, Trade Skills Fundamentals. So sometimes I'll have like a teacher asks if they can do it who's like a computer science teacher or something like that, never worked in the trades. But we're looking for someone who has that hands-on experience and can really speak to the value of a skilled trade career. Does that answer the question, John?
Yeah, that answers my question. I was also, I think I misheard it, but it sounded like you needed to get certified to teach that.
Just through college credit now. So you'd submit, there's an application process. You have to submit a syllabus to get approved. And so we look at that and make sure that the community college way is we would give you a course outline and a book and say good luck. And so we always want to make sure that people have an understanding of the content and the expectations for teaching the course and are qualified to teach it.
Okay.
There's another question, Megan. It says, is the portfolio based on the activities for students who participate or a combination of the courses and experiences?
It's pretty spelled out in the portfolio is going to have a copy of their transcript, a copy of their diploma, a copy of their driver's license, and then potentially photos of the work that they've done. I just really encourage students. I get a lot of applicants that are like, I have no idea where my high school transcript is. I have no idea where my diploma is. I don't know where my birth certificate. We don't need birth certificate, but and I just think, you really want to have an important papers file where you keep all your things. And so that's really what we're going for, is that they're collecting all these items in one place so that they can reach for it over and over again. So it's anything that they've done through the program. So I might be using the word portfolio wrong. There might be like a high school lingo for that I'm not using.
Nope.
Like pathway. Pathway means like 30 things in Oregon now. Things I'm hesitant to ever say, But the idea is that they have everything they need ready to go. So they could walk into an apprenticeship, turn in an application and make a copy of stuff and have that application be complete.
And I would just say as well, for those that are interested in a program like this or similar. This is one of the reasons why this rural initiative, this session is happening today, is to bring people together to potentially do that, is to start their own program or pathway, just as Megan did with her partners in the Mid-Willamette area. So I would connect with Liz Mackey and Kristen Kulongoski here, who were your local leads for this project, at least, and to work. I know that they work with John Loomis, who's the director of apprenticeship at Mount Hood Community College, to have those conversations. And thank you, Megan, for sharing your email there. We have contacts listed at the end of the presentation as well. But we will segue. I think we'll go ahead and segue. Oh, go ahead, Megan.
Just OSHA 10. There's a vendor that also offers OSHA 10 online, and they have an educational discount, so it's $25 per student. Then there are people that will provide the class as well, but we've been having a lot of people do it online right now. So someone asked a question about OSHA 10.
So great. And again, we'll have time towards the end of this session for more questions and connecting. And I see that our next presenter, Hal Jones, the Pathway CTE Coordinator for Medford School District, arrived. So we'll go ahead and get him to share about his program design and learn a little bit more about what they're doing in Medford. So Hal, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself one more time, and I can advance the screen for you.
Thank you so much, Gabby, and it's good to see everybody. And I've got about 9 slides to share with you, but please feel free at any moment along the way, if a question comes up, don't hesitate to just pause. So to begin with, I want you to know that it was March 6th, as a matter of fact, 2020, when representing a local industry advisory group for construction technology and related trades, I presented a 34-page formal application to the Bureau of Labor and Industry for something we called IMPACT, Medford Pre-Apprenticeship for Construction Trades. And so one of the features of the Rogue Valley then and now, even more so, is that we have tremendous unmet workforce need in construction trades. That might sound familiar to you. So one of the first things we want to do is help everybody understand that the way that we justified applying to BOLI for a pre-apprenticeship, a registered pre-apprenticeship, is through that job market analysis here in the Rogue Valley. And we found ourselves quite wanting in that area, and a tremendous opportunity for our high school students to transition from their trades-related CTE programs into high-wage and demand jobs right here. Thank you, Cassie. If you advance the slide for us. Here's a quote from Guy Tower. Guy is a lead economist for the Oregon Employment Department. This was posted on qualityinfo.org. You may be familiar with that. If you're not familiar with that database, which is sponsored by the Oregon Employment Department, I'd encourage you to log into that. You'll see regional workforce information and occupational outlooks. So just read that for a second, what Guy said on November 3rd. Can you read it? I'll read it for you if you can't see it. Construction is the 3rd fastest growing industry, as it is expected to grow by 14% between 2009 and 2029. Demand for construction will be driven by population and economic growth, low residential vacancy rates, and associated rising prices. And in bold, I put the rebuilding effort from the Alameda fire will no doubt create additional demand in the construction sector and contribute to job growth. So it was kind of encouraging to read that on November 3rd after, as a resident of Southern Oregon, having endured really a devastating wildfire that wiped out so much of the Southern Oregon communities of Phoenix and Talent. and to see this as a golden opportunity to help substantiate the effort for collaboration between high schools and workforce development. And if we could go to the next slide. So again, in March of 2020, literally 6 days before everything was closed down for COVID, we got the green light from the Bureau of Labor and Industry to sponsor a registered pre-apprenticeship in relationship to registered apprenticeships in the Rogue Valley in construction trades. Do we have any questions about any of that? Okay, let's go on to the next one.
Not at the moment. Thanks.
We'll go to the next one. Thank you, Abby. And here are the specific trades that we're targeting. Electrical, plumbing, residential, commercial construction, heating and air conditioning, or HVAC. And we have a new one, a lead employer, construction company owner, Russ Botzer from Botzer Construction and JB Steel. He, as a part of our regional effort, he applied for a registered apprenticeship, the very first one in the state, in vertical metal construction. And so we now have an opportunity to offer that to our students as well. And we'll advance. Here's the literal list of the trades partners who represent our advisory team, our Medford Pre-Apprenticeship Advisory Team. Botzer Construction and JB Steel, the Association of General Contractors, etc. And here are the eligibility criteria. So in a pre-apprenticeship, you have to spell out what the eligibility criteria is, and this is what our advisory team kind of agreed on. So we're looking at a minimum age of 16 to 18 high school students in grades 11 or 12. We're making exceptions for 10th grade students based on their needs and their academic standing. Algebra 1 is a requirement, 1 credit in construction tech or manufacturing, and on track for graduation. So that message that underlies this pre-apprenticeship in the high school, of course, is, look, your high school education is relevant. In fact, it's a requirement for going into a professional trade. You have to demonstrate that you've completed high school. And then, of course, a recommendation from the CTE instructor. And for our CTE instructors, they work from an employability skills rubric that was created through the Business Education Partnership in the Rogue Valley. So we had the good fortune of 2 years ago working in this school and business partnership to really identify what are those key personal and social skills that a young person needs to have in order to obtain some of these really good opportunities for careers. And so we developed this, and it's now being shared among schools across the Rogue Valley. And yes.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's great to have this common language and agreement about what those skills are, because it starts to get us out of that continuous noise of complaints about how high school kids are never ready to take some of these jobs. I know you've heard those. We all hear them. That they might have technical knowledge and skill, but they lack the social skills, the reliability, et cetera. And so we address that as part of our Medford Pre-Apprenticeship experience. Thank you, Gabby.
And how there was a question there about maybe sharing a little bit about what your background is. And there was a question about, are you a CTE teacher? You qualified to teach because you came from industry, correct? So there's a couple of different questions within that.
Well, thank you for asking those questions, whoever asked. My background is I started in the Medford School District in 1990, before many of you were born. And at that time, I was a child development specialist. And so I started in the system as a support person, as a counselor. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology from California. I then transitioned into comprehensive guidance counseling at one of our high schools in the Medford district, where I got a great perspective on what we do and frankly what we don't do for high school students in terms of preparing them for that next transition. It won't surprise you to know that back in those days, we did nothing outside of helping kids graduate from high school, nothing to prepare them for alternatives to a 2 or 4 year college transition after high school. And I'm happy to report to you today that Impact is just the latest kind of iteration or illustration of what we're doing for the 65 to 70% of our students who continue to make a decision not to go into a 2 or 4 year college experience directly after high school. And in fact, we're able to connect them through this pre-apprenticeship effort to professions, to trades, to great jobs that they and their families and communities can be proud of going into the future.
Great. Okay. Next slide.
Next slide. And by the way, I forgot to mention, I transitioned from being a guidance counselor for 7 years, then into high school administration as an assistant principal. I worked as the supervisor and supporter of our freshman academy for 14 years before taking the position of the career readiness person for the Medford School District. Thank you. Who's responsible for guiding, coordinating, and mentoring Impact? Did we have a question?
Oh, no, there was just a comment that you play a mean guitar as well. I don't mean to be a distraction. My apologies.
Oh, we'll have to get into that later. That's great. So this is really important. It may not surprise you to know that CTE teachers, when we talked about this with our construction and manufacturing teachers, yeah, they were a little hesitant, to be honest with you, because they didn't want to do anything that would frankly add to their workload. Does that surprise anybody? Shouldn't. So we had to really kind of address that concern up front before we could frankly get any buy-in from them. And so what we agreed to do is leverage some of our Measure 98 money to boost. We didn't actually hire a full FTE, but we boosted existing career coordinators at each of our high schools to support kind of this increased role of being the Impact Site Coordinator. So we'll get into kind of what the roles and responsibilities of site coordinators are in our view, but I want you to know we did that. We actually used some Measure 98 money to help beef up that role to support what we hope to be a growing pre-apprenticeship opportunity. And that's what you see in the next level, the Impact Site Coordinators. So we have a site coordinator in place at each of our comprehensive high schools and one at our comprehensive high school that includes also an online school. And then the mentors, we really emphasize this. This is all just an elegant idea and a grand design. It boils down to the human relationships we're able to create or not create through this experience. And we're really working to try to help all of our CTE teachers understand that and really step up to that role as a mentor, as a human being, an elder who can take these young people into their care and teach them something that they are really passionate about. Let's go on to the next one. And the portfolio checklist, if you could just click that link, thank you, Gabby. And so part of the documentation and accountability for students is that they complete a series of activities. Now, each of these activities relates to one of the following things: career exploration, high school completion, so there's an academic checklist component, and then workforce readiness, or you could call it work-related learning, okay? So if we can expand that just a little bit, we could go through it very quickly. You'll notice, thank you, Cassie, if you just roll up a little bit, you'll see the portfolio requirement. There's a little statement there after students fill out their personal information. So this is a reminder, kind of a frame up front for kids. Students are responsible for maintaining and submitting this portfolio checklist as evidence of having completed their pre-apprenticeship requirements. A completed portfolio checklist will be included in the student's registered apprenticeship application. So right from the beginning, we're trying to front load that the purpose of this is to help them get to an interview stage for a paid apprenticeship. And they have to start creating this folder of experiences and documents and recommendations that will substantiate their readiness for that next step. And then we'll go to the checklist itself. And by the way, all of this we'll send you, and feel free to use it, adopt it as you wish. And of course, verification of being on target, that's a requirement under BOLI. Completion of Algebra 1, that's a requirement. At least 1 credit in one of the following. We added this to reinforce the connection with their CTE programs. So 1 credit in construction tech or 1 credit in manufacturing. A copy of the OSHA 10 certification. CareerSafe is an online vendor for OSHA 10 courses. And I got a hold of their information at a ACTE conference a couple of years ago, and we found them to be an excellent partner in helping students gain access to online OSHA 10 training. And we actually pay for our students, our pre-apprentices, to log in, sign up, and complete their OSHA 10 certification and obtain their OSHA 10 card. That will go in their portfolio. And then verification of participating in at least 1 site coordinator. So one of the impact site coordinators has to approve one of these trades-related events, and then we will help them through their guidance counselor, through their CTE teacher, update their resume in anticipation of an interview for a paid apprenticeship. And then they'll write a career pathway plan. This gets into that career exploration part of it. As they go through this experience, some of the students we've interviewed know very clearly they want to be an electrician, for an example. But as they go into it, they may find that, of course, it's not exactly what they anticipated. And that's good. We want to validate whatever learning occurs through this work-based experience. And so we want to create this kind of structured way for them to reflect on what they're learning. So that's the purpose of this career pathway plan. They'll present their pathway plan by completing a template that we provide for them. So we'll provide the prompts, the questions for them for their self-reflection, and then they'll present that to their impact advisory team. And then finally, it gets us down to provide documentation of their participation into one of the following. So they have choices here of different things they can do to kind of extend their work-based learning. And these are all activities that the site coordinator helps coordinate for them. And as a district career readiness coordinator, I spend part of my time helping develop a network of business and industry leaders to be at the ready to engage our students in these kind of industry site-based experiences. Any question? Yeah.
Yeah, we do have a couple questions, and then we also maybe have a couple more minutes before we transition to hear about UFILD.
Perfect.
There's what is an example of completed a trades-related course outside of high school? And then how do you communicate these checklist requirements with students if they are ready to be a part of Impact come their junior year?
You bet. So the first question, what's an example of the completed trades-related course outside of high school? The OSHA 10 could qualify for some students, but in addition to that, we're looking at students who could take an Intro to Electronics course at Rowe Community College, or a mechatronics course, an Intro Mechatronics. We would pay for them to do that as a part of their Medford Pre-Apprenticeship activity. So there's a wide range of things. You know, during COVID shutdowns, we're more limited to online activities. When things open up, You can imagine there could be a wide range of things that happen outside of school. They all could fall under work-based learning or work-related learning experiences.
And
yeah, go ahead.
Are you using Measure 98 to pay for students who are taking those classes at the community college?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And how do you communicate these requirements? So what we're doing right now is we're setting up impact onboarding sessions with the student, their parent, guidance counselor, with the site coordinator, and myself, and we just walk them through the checklist and get them started on the process. And they ask great questions. Parents and students ask great questions about it, and as you are, and we go through it. And then the first thing I do is send them a follow-up email to that initial 30-minute meeting and tell them they need to schedule a regular follow-up meeting with their CTE teacher at least twice a month and to go over the progress of their checklist. Any other questions? I'll send you this slide deck so you can go through it. There's some other stuff down here about process and steps that might be helpful to you. And you can see, how does a student apply? We've got a simple one-page Google form that we use as an application for students. I share the Google spreadsheet that logs all of the students who've applied, submitted an application. That goes to our CTE teachers, our guidance counselors, our site coordinators, so everybody's in the loop on that. And then I arrange the onboarding Zoom sessions, and then I hand it off to the individual site coordinators.
Great. Well, thank you, Hal, for providing us a glimpse into impact and the great questions that followed. His contact information is also at the end of this slide deck, and we'll make sure that his slides, the checklist, along with what Kara and Megan have to share, and any resources you would like to connect with them. And so we're going to transition to Kara Johnson, the Program Director for Heart of Oregon Core Youth Build. And Kara, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So, Heart of Oregon Core, we're a Central Oregon nonprofit who engage local opportunity youth ages 16 to 24. Every year, we provide job skills training, education, leadership development to over 300 young people who face major barriers to success. And so we're empowering a generation of young people to believe in themselves and achieve self-sufficiency by training tomorrow's workforce today. Next slide. So Heart of Oregon Core is actually the overarching organization, nonprofit organization. Youth Build is just one of the 6 Heart of Oregon Core programs. We're located in Sisters and Redmond with our Youth Build program is a regional program. We have locations all over Central Oregon, which makes logistics a lot of fun and challenging at the same time. So our school building is located in Sisters. Our construction training site, or our construction training center, is in Redmond. And we have actual residential construction sites in Madras, Sisters, and Prineville, and we hope to have a future construction site in Warm Springs. And we started our program in 2009, and we've been continuously funded through the Department of Labor and Youth Build AmeriCorps. We also have a mentoring grant and several private foundation grants that keep us going. So we're recruiting youth 16 to 24 years old from Deschutes County, Crook County, and Jefferson County. We have young people who come all the way from Warm Springs on a daily basis as well, and we now have a young person from Lapine. So our recruitment focus is really underrepresented youth and the underserved youth, both male, female, low-income families, youth who are currently aging in and out of foster care, youth who are adult criminal offenders, children of migrant working families, youth with disabilities, or children of an incarcerated parent. We've also been a general contractor since 2009 in the state of Oregon, and we've built and rehabbed 28 affordable houses here in Central Oregon. Our young people also earn a daily stipend. So we're paying them to be in our program. They don't pay a dime to us, we are paying them. And we also are able to, based on their attendance, provide them with bonuses as well. Upon completion of 450 hours of AmeriCorps service, they also earn an AmeriCorps scholarship of nearly $1,650. Next slide. So our Youth-Build Pre-Apprenticeship Framework is a 2-year career pathway experience. And so the first year is really used for that active programming where they're working on their GED, high school diploma, they're learning the construction trade, and then we follow up with a year of services, follow-up services as well, which is intensive, and we call that year 2 for our young people. At that point in time, our young people are placed in employment, they're placed in an apprenticeship program, they're placed in college, community colleges, etc. So you can change it to the next slide. Here's the framework. So the framework, we are the program is very comprehensive for our young people. We started with counseling, case management. We're working on career and work readiness opportunities for our young people. We provide supportive services and mentoring. On top of, like I said, they work on their high school diplomas, their GEDs, credit recovery, and they're also exploring post-secondary opportunities. We have an approved training curriculum. It's industry recognized, and they earn the NCCER credential as well with us. But also on top of earning that curriculum or that credential, they're doing construction, hands-on, meaningful training. We're building affordable housing here in Central Oregon. Like I said, we have built 28 homes here in Central Oregon since 2009. They also are doing leadership development. I had mentioned every young person is an AmeriCorps member, and so their service is building affordable housing. But we're also having that pathway to apprenticeship and the industry partnerships that we've developed. Our program or our organization has an employer advisory committee that has like 20 plus employers on that committee who actually meet every 6 months for the organization, and we go over like different types of like work opportunities that are in the community to, you know, how do we get our young people placed in employment, whether it be construction or even Mount Bachelor here in Central Oregon. We have several construction companies who are on our Employer Advisory Council. We also work with our local apprenticeships as well here in Central Oregon. And like I mentioned before, not only do they have that 1 year of active programming where they're learning the construction, they're doing their education, they're learning about post-secondary opportunities, but we also in year 2, we continue to work with the youth as they are employed and graduated from our program and graduated from their local high schools or GEDs, and we work with them on a monthly basis for their setting goals, and we're following through that year of follow-up services because we know our young people need that additional support even after program is over. Next slide, please. So the curriculum, like I said, is NCCER. That's our core curriculum that we use for construction. Like the other programs that have talked today, we also do OSHA 10 and first aid and CPR. We also have an integrated construction math, which includes that year of algebra that the young people need. We also offer a career pathways course, an introduction to green building practices, introduction to affordable housing, and that's through our language arts and social studies, our humanities courses. And like I said, they have 200 to 450 hours of hands-on construction experience building homes on the residential construction site. Next slide, please. So the pipeline of apprenticeship, we have been able to, and we're still working on developing our pipeline as well. Our program just recently was approved for Oregon Labor and Industry Pre-Apprenticeship here in the state just recently in June. However, we have been running a Youth-Build Pre-Apprenticeship program through the Department of Labor since 2009. So we've been able to build many employer partnerships, but on top of that, we are working with Northwest College of Construction, our local 290, Knife River, Brightwood, the Associated Builders and Contractors in the Pacific Northwest chapter, R&H Construction, and our local Workforce Investment Board as well. Next slide, please. And we have, like I said, we have additional industry partnerships that we've built with. The list goes on and on and on. And it seems like we just have a new partner as well on top of all these other construction partners, is Skanska. So our young people, they're also now on our Employer Advisory Council. But we work with Sisters Habitat for Humanity to build the homes. We also work with our local housing authority, Housing Works, to build the homes too. And we're hoping, like in the future, hopefully next year, we'll be able to start working with the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs and their housing authority to build homes as well. We partner with all of our school districts here in Central Oregon in one form or another, and we have both support from the school districts, which is amazing. Central Oregon Community College as well, and like I said, we get referrals from Deschutes County, Jefferson County, Crook County Juvenile Adult Probation and Parole, and through DHS, and many other Central Oregon nonprofits will refer young people to us. Next slide. This is an example of a home that we just completed in Prineville. Actually, we completed it in right after COVID hit. Our young people, we were right in the finished work of the project, and so our construction trainers actually had to finish the final 2 weeks of the project, unfortunately, but our youth built it from the ground up. They poured the concrete for the foundation, they framed it, they did like I said, they did the internal and external framing, they did all the finish work inside, they did some of the drywall in the garage, they did the drywall and the taping texturing in the garage. Some of the things we do sub out to other subs because we have found that it's just much faster, quicker, and cheaper for like drywall to be done by a drywall company than our young people. But this house we sold on the open market through a process of an application of affordable housing. And so the young people, like I said, they built it from the ground up. You can go to the next slide. And there's the exterior photos of the house as well. And it was an Earth Advantage Platinum certificate as well through our green building course that we did with our young people. Next slide. Any questions that you all have?
Well, thank you, Kara, for being here and sharing some of the great work that your youth are doing out in Central Oregon. And thank you to Hal. He had to step away again for another meeting, and Megan. And now we're going to just have a few, learn a little bit more about Kara and Megan's thoughts about pre-apprenticeship. I would also like to, since Hal has stepped away, and want to do a shout out / acknowledge the gross overstep of not including Angie Gilbert from the Reynolds Learning Academy in this conversation, who has an East County pre-apprenticeship program that's registered as well. That Angie, if you wouldn't mind being a part of the discussion, or if you feel something to add, that would be great. So we'll go ahead to some of the first questions here. But so why pre-apprenticeship? Why registered apprenticeship? We get this question a lot. Why? What is it? What are the benefits? Why should employers or youth even be involved? Kara, do you want to go first?
Sure. Why pre-apprenticeship? I feel the design of a pre-apprenticeship program offers our young people a comprehensive learning environment, especially for young people who, a regular high school classroom may not work for very well. And so, it also provides them that avenue to that high paying job coming out of, in going into an apprenticeship program. with the people that we work with here in Central Oregon, we work with the most at-risk youth here in Central Oregon, and the ones that have, you know, that are needing that employment and needing that high-paying job. So that's why I feel it's super important.
Thank you. Kara, Megan?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it provides some scaffolding for folks who have often felt like education wasn't the best fit for them, or had some pretty negative experiences, might have a lot of anxiety, whether or not they recognize it, around formal education. And so pre-apprenticeship really helps build confidence and help them get the skills that they need so that they can be successful. And you know, I talk a lot about ladders out of poverty in Oregon, especially in our rural Oregon communities. And I feel like pre-apprenticeship and then registered apprenticeship leads to those living wage jobs that, you know, people like, you know, talk about in a career. So you really see people transform throughout their apprenticeship into someone who's very wary to go into a classroom or to do anything education related. So I think I just work really hard to be that caring adult, to really support people and not shame them, or, you know, I'm the type of person who teases. I can be sarcastic, and I just really try to quash that down and provide just a lot of support and understanding, and walk alongside people to get them on this pathway, because I just believe in it so much for living wage jobs, and it's really can be very transformative.
Thank you. And Angie, did you want to weigh in?
Sorry, had to unmute. Yeah, I was with Megan and Kara. I think that, you know, we've been doing ours, as I said last week, this is year 17 now, and I have seen it make an incredible difference in our students, just mindset alone around self-esteem, building confidence. Even if they don't transition necessarily into the trades, often they go on to do 2-year or 4-year universities and find careers that they really like, because they were able to engage in a way that helped them to see that there was something else. The other piece that we found is a lot of our kids were already doing a lot of these things with their families, or working for their family, or working for friends or something in it. And it gave them a way to see that they could actually take that for themselves. And I've had students start businesses of their own, and just transition in a way that they were able to see how to apply their education in a more real world way, I guess is maybe a better way to say it. We tried to really partner with all of their apprenticeships to get curriculum from them, that we integrated into our classes as well, and then teaching the soft skills part of it, and helping them to be like fully prepared and ready to go out into the world as you know, confident young people who could join the workforce and be you know, really be able to create and collaborate in a way. And it taught them a lot of, I think the other thing that's really important about apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship is that it helps them to build the skills of teamwork and problem solving and critical thinking. And so I mean, that's just one of the other aspects, I guess, that we focus on. But I don't know. I got a little tongue-tied now. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
And they all went out of my head.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Thank you. And before we move forward, just there's a question for Kara from Tori from POIC. Do you purchase the land to develop or work with a partner with your homes?
Yes, so we do a combination. So that Prineville house that actually was that we owned and sold on the open market, we actually had that land donated to us nearly 3 years ago. It took 2 years to actually develop the idea and put that into process of building that house and finding out, because we had never built one on our own. Typically, we partner with the local Habitats for Humanity. Or as acting as a general contractor, we're also able to partner with our local housing authority, Housing Works. So partnerships work great, but also too, building our own house was an amazing experience as well.
I also wanted to just add one more piece. I think another part of this is we do a lot of like volunteering within the community, and my suggestion is for programs that are working with doing pre-apprenticeship, it's a really good way for kids to put their skills to use in really productive, positive ways that help to support the communities around them and to better understand some of the issues that their communities are facing. So for example, like we work with a couple of nonprofits that work with Portland's unhoused community. And so we've done a lot of refurbishing of spaces for that, have developed some other partnerships too to talk about building like some huts and some tiny homes and things to go within communities. But just another aspect that I would suggest incorporating in doing your pre-apprenticeship programs is that part of volunteering, because I think it's really, really important for kids to engage and to give back to the communities that are supporting and helping them. So if that's not something that you have thought about or that you maybe have in there, that's another aspect you might want to think about incorporating in. It's been very beneficial to our kids, and they've made really good connections through that as well. And it's just another thing that they can add to their portfolio and their resume that they were a part of. And many have gone on to continue working with some of the organizations. So just another little spot.
Great, thank you. I have a couple of questions here about, do you use liability waivers for when kids are volunteering their skills? Do you have also have special insurance for them?
Yes and yes. For Heart of Oregon Corps, yeah, we do. We, with our volunteers, or as we volunteer for like Sisters Habitat for Humanity or our other local habitats, they do, all of our young people sign a waiver of liability. But also too, we also, for all of our young people, since we're paying them a stipend, a daily stipend, we have workers' comp insurance for all of our young people, which covers the liability as well.
Okay. And then Kara, there's a question for you on who is the contractor, your CT program, or I guess program, John, if you want to unmute yourself, I don't know if that's a full question or if Kara understands it.
Yeah, sorry. I was just curious. I've had a contractor's license in the past, but who is the entity that gets the CCV, and how is that laid out?
Yeah, so Heart of Oregon Corps has the contractor's license through the Contractors Board. We have an RMI, or responsible managing individual, who is typically our construction manager. So we have a construction manager on our staff. We also have 2 construction trainers as well that work with the young people on a daily basis. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah, thanks.
And it looks like Reynolds Learning Academy does as well, from Angie's comment. So, so what do you want people to know about pre-apprenticeship? Megan, do you want to start? Or if not, pre-apprenticeship, registered apprenticeship as well?
I think the biggest thing is that not everybody, well, first of all, we need people going into the trades and going into registered apprenticeship for licensed trades and non-licensed trades. So we know we're going to have we have a worker shortage. And so we have a limited number of pathways of people that we can get in. So our high school students, people coming out of prison, people moving here from other places, and folks who are underemployed, and folks who are not quite ready to do registered apprenticeship for a variety of reasons. So a pre-apprenticeship program could help skill them up, whether that's emerging English language learners or who that is. So pre-apprenticeship really helps us fill that pipeline into the skilled trade. So either helping young people get in, or helping other folks get.
Yeah, this is that's all the section. And let's see what we say.
Sorry.
You need to Anyway, so that's it for me, is that it pre-apprenticeship allows people to get into the skilled trades and develop the skills that they need to apply, especially if they don't meet the math requirement. Or registered apprenticeship often has things that people have to do. We have statewide standards, and so that might be the math requirement or that high school diploma or GED. So pre-apprenticeship is a great way to help people skill up so they can compete for them.
Kara?
I also want to add, I agree with Megan as well. That's exactly what pre-apprenticeship is also about. But also too, it's also a place to prepare young people for the workforce. Not all of our young people in our program will go into the construction trades after they graduate from the program. But what's always amazing and awesome for our young people to do is come back and say, hey, 2-3 years later, they're going, hey, Kara, I know I told you I really hated construction while I was in the program, but I'm in the construction industry now and I'm in this trade. And the young people that join, the apprenticeship programs as well at a later time, it may not happen, especially when you're working with those 16, 17-year-olds, it may not happen right away. They have to go out and try things on their own and then realize, oh, wow, okay, I can actually make a living in construction or that trade that I want to go into. And also too, I mean, in the pre-apprenticeship model as well is those wraparound services and supportive services that we can offer our young people to build them up and build that confidence in them as well.
Great. And last but not least, what are some of the challenges in working with youth that you want to share as maybe some considerations for people? And I know that there are several representatives here that work with youth in training capacities, but that could also share maybe some ahas or considerations in the chat. But Kara, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, I think one of our biggest challenges is attendance, and especially those 16, 17-year-olds who are trying to reestablish a new habit of showing up to school where the typical high school just didn't work out for them. And so it's just building that attendance and having them show up when it's most important. Those, especially like, I guess one of the one challenge I had today is we're having first aid and CPR today. During a pandemic, getting it scheduled in person is huge. And, we have really, really small groups right now that we're taking to that class, and 3 of them didn't show up out of 8. And so it's that attendance piece, I think, is the biggest challenge in keeping them engaged and motivated and coming to program each and every day. And also too, the virtual learning has been a huge challenge this year as well, especially for the young people that we initially served. Online learning and virtual learning didn't work out for them in the first place. So that's why they came to us. And so that also has been a big challenge.
Megan?
I don't have a lot to add. I think it's tough to work with people who are still ascertaining what it is they want to do with their lives, and people can be on board one day and find something else the next day. But I think it's all beneficial for the student. And again, I'm in it for the long game. So, I may see them when they're 16 and 17 and 18 and then not see them again until they're 24 when they're really ready to dig in. So, and I'm totally fine with that. Probably because I live with 3 20-somethings in my own home. So I see the fickleness, but I think it's just providing opportunity and support and realizing that people might not be receptive right now, but they will be potentially in the future, and hopefully they'll figure themselves out.
Great. And Angie, do you have anything to add?
No, I guess I would say ditto to what everybody else said. Maybe the only thing I would say is that for us, working with a very at-risk population, one of the things that we often face is, families and students that are experiencing mental health crisis too. And so that can be a really big challenge some days to them showing up, because you've got to meet the needs on the lower part of the Maslow's hierarchy to get them to those next steps. And so making sure that we're really aware and staying very connected with our kids and supporting them in all the ways that we can and understanding the situations that they come from. But also being able to sort of earn our chips with them to remind them that, the world of work won't have a moment for those things. And so helping them to transition from that place of like just abandoning everything to learning how to use some coping skills to be able to get through their day and their work part of it. So that's been a big challenge for us, and working to fine tune those things as we go along. Every year is different.
Great, thank you. And so we're towards the end of our session today. Wanted to let you all know that our final webinar session for this workshop is on Thursday from 1 to 3 o'clock again. And it'll be about the state certification process and walking through the application for pre-apprenticeship and highlighting the must-haves and steps to that. I also want to share the OregonApprenticeship.org website. Again, lots of resources and materials there for you to explore. We will also have recordings of these sessions posted here, and the slide deck and resources, but we will try to get those out to you sooner, at least in terms of slide decks and products and materials. Can send that out to you. A huge thank you again to Megan Cogswell, Hal Jones, Kara Johnson, and then on the spot, Angie Gilbert. We will get their contact information put on this slide for you all, so you can have it. Megan put her contact information in the chat, and I'm sure Kara can do the same here if needed, and Angie did as well. But we will get that information to you all. And I'm going to pass this back over to Liz and Kristen for final things, final ending here.
Thanks, Gabby.
Thank you, Gabby.
I'll say that I think what we're going to do to reduce the number of emails that everyone receives is that we'll wait until after the Thursday presentation, and we will collect all of the slide decks that were used, and then we will send one email to everyone that was on the invitation list with all of the materials. So that may be the end of the week, or it may be next week, but please look for an email with all of the materials. Liz?
And I just want to say real quick, for everybody who spoke today and shared their experiences and their programs that they have up and running, thank you so much. It's really appreciated. And I know not only the people on this call, but there's folks who can't make it that will get this sent out. So this, for me personally, huge help, and I know it is for other people. So thank you so much. And I look forward to Thursday's session and seeing, okay, what are my next steps? How do I get this going? So thank you all. I guess we'll see you Thursday then.
Great. Thank you.